This next story is Hagowane and his 10 sons. The characters in this story is wild geese, flint, blue snake, whirlwind, spider, meteor, snake, flea, turtle, eagle, and black snake. So there's 3 different types of snakes in this particular story. And I would try to go and pronounce some of these names, but it would be a waste of time and wouldn't make sense anyway. So I'm going to go on with the story. Hagowane and his 10 sons. At Hittagatastendi lived a man of great power named Hagowane. He belonged to the eagle family. One day this man started off to hunt. Taking his canoe, he sailed across the lake in front of his house and leaving the canoe, traveled for 5 days toward the west. Then he collected wood and made a camp. The first day he hunted, he killed 5 bears and 6 deer, brought them to camp, and said to himself, "I have had a bad luck today." The second day he killed 10 bears and 12 deer and brought them to camp. That night he skinned and roasted the 15 bears and 18 deer and finished the work before daylight. The next day he went for more game. He killed 24 deer and 20 bears, brought them to camp, skinned and roasted them, finishing exactly at midnight. Then he said to himself, "I have enough now." Putting the meat into one pile, he tied it up with bark strings and shook it, saying, "I want you to be small." It shrank into a little package that he hung to his belt. In the same way, he made the skins into a small package that he hung to his belt. Then he set out for home. When Hagowane came to the lake, he looked everywhere for his canoe, but he couldn't find it. He saw a man coming toward him. When they met, the man asked, "What have you lost?" "I have lost my canoe," answered Hagowane. "The man who lives on that island over there was here yesterday. He took your canoe." "Who is the man?" "He is one of the turtle family." "How can I get my canoe?" "Give me what meat you have, and I will get it for you." "What am I to eat if I do that?" "Well, I will do better. I will bring the canoe if you will take your meat home, keep half, and put the other half outside your house for me." "Very well," said Hagowane. The man himself had taken the canoe to the island, and now he brought it back. "That man on the island," said he, "is an ugly fellow. He nearly killed me." When Hagowane got home, he drew the canoe to a place of safety among the rocks. Then he took the packages of meat from his belt, untied, and threw them down. That minute they regained their natural size. He piled the meat up inside of his house and tanned the skins, but he didn't pay Handazoyas for bringing back the canoe. After a time, a woman of the wild goose family came to Hagowane's house, bringing a basket of bread. She said, "My mother sent me to ask you to take me for a wife." The man hung his head a while, thinking. At last he said to himself, "I suppose nothing bad will come of this." Then he looked at the girl and said, "I am willing." The girl was glad. She placed the marriage bread before him. He ate some of it and said, "I am thankful. I have not tasted bread for many years." The two lived happily. Each year for 10 years, a son was born to them. Then one morning, when Hagowane was sitting on a rock outside the house, he said to himself, "I am tired of staying here. I am going away." He sat in his canoe and rowed across the lake. After a time, his wife missed him. She looked everywhere but could get no trace of him. When the eldest boy was almost a young man, he said to his mother, "I am going to search for my father till I find out where he is." "You will get lost on the way," said his mother. "Oh, no, I will not," replied he. After a time, the mother gave her consent, and the boy set out, traveling always toward the north. While crossing a rocky place, he came upon a trail. "These footprints look like my father's," thought he, and he followed them. Soon he came to a cross trail. "I wonder where this comes from and where it goes," thought he. When I come back, I will find out." Not far from the cross trail, the boy saw a house, and as the trail he was following entered it, he went in and, looking around, saw one old man in the southeast corner, another in the southwest, a third in the northwest, and a fourth in the northeast corner, and each one was smoking. The first old man raised his head, looked at the boy, and asked, "Well, my grandson, what are you doing here? If you want to see your father, come to me. I will show him to you." The boy went to him. The old man seized him by the hair, bent his head over a bark bowl, and cut it off. "I am glad of the young man," said he. "It must be worth eating. It is just the right age," and he began to cut up the body. At home, they waited for long tidings from the eldest brother. When none came, the second son said, "I must go and find my brother." "Oh, my son," said the mother, "do not go. Some misfortune has befallen your brother." "I must go," answered the boy. "I cannot help going. I want to find my father and my brother." And he made ready for the journey. He put on a shirt, leggings, and moccasins of meteor skin, and took bow and arrows. The mother cried, but she couldn't prevent his going. He went north as his brother had done, followed the same trail till he came to the cross trail, and went into the house where the four old men were sitting. The old man in the northwest corner called out, "My grandson, do you want to see your father? Come here." The boy went, looking into a bowl half full of water, saw the face of his father and the face of his brother. Then the old man seized him by the hair and cut off his head. 9 of the brothers went, one after another, and all were killed by the 4 old men in the house near the cross trail. Then Yellow Flint, the 10th and youngest son, though he was still small and young, said to his mother, "I must follow my brothers." "Oh, my son," said the mother, "you cannot go. There are 4 old men living near the trail. They are called Hagowane. They have great power. But I must go. I want to find my father, and my brothers." "You will never see them again. They are dead." "Can't I kill those old men?" "Maybe you can if I give you my power." "Give it to me. I must kill them." "I will go and bring it," said the mother. She went west to a rough and rocky place and came back with a slate rock mannequin about half the length of her little figure. "Here," said she, "put this mannequin between your belt and your body, and you can do what you like. You can change yourself to whatever form you please." The boy put the mannequin between his belt and his body, took a bow made of hickory and arrows of red willow pointed with wasp stings, and went toward the north, as his brothers had. He found a fresh trail and thought, "Maybe this is my father's trail." After a while, he came to the cross trail, running from east to west. He stood still and thought, "Where does this trail come from, and where does it go? I will find out." He went toward the east till it came to a wide opening and saw a cloud of dust moving toward him. "I must hurry back," said he to himself, "or something may happen to me." When he turned, the great cloud approached quickly. Soon it touched him, and he grew so weak that he fell to the ground. Looking up, he saw a long-legged person rushing on. He sprang to his feet, climbed a tree, and shot up a wasp sting-pointed arrow. The arrow hit the man in the cloud and killed him. The long-legged stranger was Jay, Spider. The boy went east again. Another cloud of dust rushed toward him, but he turned aside. After the cloud passed, he ran on till he came to the place where the trails crossed, and going northward from there, came to the house where the 4 old men sat smoking. After standing outside for a while, he found a crack and, looking in, saw the brothers. "I wonder if those are the men that my brother told me about," thought he. "I will kill them if I can. If I can't, I will burn down their house." He took the mannequin from his belt and placed it on his hand. He stood it up and said to him, "I am going to ask you a question. I want to kill those old men. How am I to do it?" The mannequin said, "You must climb that high rock over there and call out, 'I, Othagawida, am on this high rock.' You will find sharp flint stones up there. Take a handful of them and throwing them toward the house, say, 'I want it to be hot.'" The boy put the mannequin in his belt and listened to the conversation of the old men. One said, "I think Othawagada is around here." "Oh," replied the man in the southeast corner, "you said that all the family were dead. I think a little boy is left, said the old man in the southwest corner. I think they are all dead except the old woman, said the man in the northeast corner. Well, said the old man in the northwest corner, it seems to me that one is lurking around here somewhere. If you think so, hunt for him, said the old man in the southwest. Hagowane sprang onto the house and sat with his feet in the smoke hole. The old man looked all around but could find no one. The boy drew his bow and shot through the smoke hole, shot each one of the brothers. The arrows went deep into their bodies, but the men were not hurt. They didn't know that they had been hit. The boy sprang from the house and landed far away. Then he climbed the rock and called out, I, Hagowane, am on this high rock. He heard one of the brothers say, my back is sore. I feel as though my bones were broken. The boy picked up a handful of sharp flint stones and threw them at the house, saying, I want you to be red hot and burn up those old men and their house. The flints went straight to the house. A few pieces went beyond. Those that struck the house set it on fire. Those that fell beyond burned the forest. Everything was blazing in and around the place. Then the boy threw a second handful of flint, saying, I want you to cut off the heads of those old men. The flint struck each man's neck in such a way that his head dropped off. The boy stood on the rock and watched the fire till only coals remained. All at once there was an explosion and whirlwind. A great head flew towards him, knocked him off the rock, and rising high in the air went straight west. The boy sprang to his feet and looking up saw a whirlwind going higher and higher. Soon he heard a crash as whirlwind struck the blue. Then the head came down again. When it reached the ground, Hagowane ran forward quickly and crushed it with a white flint stone. The boy searched through the coals with a pointed stick. At the northwest corner of the coals of the house, he came upon a trail running towards the northwest, and he followed it till he came to an opening. A cloud of dust rushed toward him. He ran into the forest and waited. The cloud stopped at the edge of the forest, and from it came an enormous spider. Oh, said the spider, I thought somebody was on the trail. My master is fooling me. I thought he had found another one of the goose family. Spider turned back, running as fast as he could. The boy followed till Spider reached a house which was sunken in the ground. The boy listened outside, and soon he heard someone crying. He thought, that sounds like my father's voice. He must be in there. He took out the mannequin, placed it on his hand. It came to life, stood up, and the boy asked, how am I to kill the spider that lives in this house? Go to a tree just west of here, said the mannequin. Climb to the top of it and call out, I am Hagowane, and I am more powerful than anything under the blue. I can kill any kind of game on earth. When you have spoken these words, cut a limb from the tree, throw it towards the house, and tell it to split open the spider's heart. The heart is in the ground under the house. When Spider is dead, rescue your father and burn the house. The boy did as the mannequin said. He cut off a limb of the tree, spat on it, and straightway it was alive, and he threw it towards the house, saying, split Spider's heart in two. The limb went under the house to where the heart was hidden. That instant, Spider stretched out and died. The boy slipped down from the tree and went to the house. Spider lay dead in the middle of the room. Under the couch lay a man who seemed to be almost dead. Hagowane raised the couch and found his father. The flesh was gone from his legs and arms, and he was barely alive. My father, said the boy, you must go home. My son, said Hagowane, you will die if you stay here. There is no danger now, answered the boy. Then he put the mannequin on his hand and asked, what shall I do with my father? The mannequin answered, rub saliva over him and flesh will come out on his bones. The boy did this, and his father was strong and well as ever. Now, said he, I am Odysee, the trickster. I have heard old people say that when he dies, he comes to life again. We will go home. You can go, said Hagowane, but I must find my brothers. When Hagowane reached home, his wife looked at him and cried, oh, my dear son, I wish you were here. I have seen something strange. Why do you talk in that way? Asked Hagowane. Why do you cry? Are you sorry that I have come? You are not alive. Yes, I am. No, you are not. And thinking he was a ghost, she drove him onto the rocks, and there he had to stay. After his father had gone, the boy burned the spider's house. When only coals were left, something shot up and flew westward. It alighted on the plain and became a sandpiper. This is the way I do. This is why I say that I can kill anybody, cried the boy. And going around the edge of the opening on the eastern side, he found a broad trail and followed it till he came to a cross trail. He stood at the four corners of the two trails, one going north and south, the other east and west. Put the mannequin on his hand and said, I want you to tell me what I am to do. At the foot of that tree over there, you will find a bark bowl. Beyond the tree is a medicine spring. On the other side of the spring, a plant is growing. Put the plant in the bowl and fill the bowl with water from the spring. Here, where the trail crosses, dig a hole and put the bowl into it, with the plant standing in the water. Then stay close by and see what will happen. The boy put the mannequin away and went to the pine tree that grew in the northwest between the northern and western trails. He found the spring and farther on a plant with bright red blossoms. He did as the mannequin had told him to, then put the bowl in the ground at the crossing of the trails and standing aside, watched and listened. Soon he heard a noise in the forest like a heavy wind coming from the north. Nearer and nearer it came with a terrible cloud of dust, and nothing could be seen till the cloud stopped at the crossing. Then, in the middle of it, the boy saw the skeleton of Blue Lizard. The skeleton walked up to the plant and ate one of the red blossoms. Though the skeleton had no place to hide the blossom, it vanished. The boy wondered greatly. It is nothing but bones, thought he. Where does food go? The skeleton grew sick. It jumped around till arms, legs, head, and ribs fell apart. Othogawida laughed, but just then he heard the noise of a heavy wind and saw it coming from the south with a great cloud of dust. The cloud stopped at the crossing, and the boy saw the skeleton of Snake. It went to the bowl and ate a blossom. That minute it began to shake, and soon it fell to pieces, became a pile of bones. Then a terrible wind came from the east and stopped at the crossing. In the middle of the cloud of dust was the skeleton of Hagowane, the ancient of bears. It ate a blossom and then began to tremble and to disjoint. Soon it was only a pile of bones. From the west came the skeleton of the ancient winged snakes. When it had turned to bones, the boy put the manica on his hand and asked, "Is it finished?" "It is," said the mannequin. "All of the trails are clear. If you go to the end of the southern trail, you will find 3 of your brothers." When the boy came to the end of the southern trail, he couldn't see anything, but after looking around a while, he found a rock with an opening in it. He went to the opening and down into the ground. It was dark there, and he thought, maybe there are skeletons here, but I must go on. At last he came to a place where there was no fire, but a plenty of light, and just beyond he found 3 of his brothers. The eldest called out, "Oh, my brother, you must hurry away. The skeleton will come soon." "I will kill it," said the boy. "My brother, if you stay here, you will not live." "I have come to take you away," said Othogawida. "We cannot walk," answered the 3. "The skeleton has eaten our flesh." The boy looked at his brothers and saw that their legs and arms were simply bones. He rubbed the bones with saliva, and they were covered with flesh. "You must go home," said Othogawida. "I am going for my other brothers." The 3 went home. When their mother saw them, she cried out, and thinking them ghosts, seized a club and drove them away. They found their father and sat on the rock with him. The boy went back to the crossing and followed the eastern trail till he came to the end of it. At first he didn't see anything, and he wondered where the ancient of bears had come from. Then he found an opening in the ground and went down into it. There must be other skeletons here, he thought, but I must go on. Soon he came to a place where there was a bright light from a rotten wood, which was up there, and farther on he found 3 of his brothers. All of their flesh had been eaten, and they were too weak to move. He brought flesh to their bones and sent them home. The mother drove them away as she had their father and brothers. Hagowane went back to the crossing and followed the northern trail till he came to a small opening. While he was looking around, a whirlwind came upon him, and he ran to the shelter of a maple tree that stood nearby. Soon he heard a heavy blow on the opposite side of the tree. He looked and saw an owie, a winged snake, lying dead at the foot of the tree. Coming in the whirlwind, it had struck the tree and had been killed. The boy went to the edge of the opening, but right away he heard a second whirlwind coming. I shall die this time, thought he, for he saw that a great number of winged snakes were in the whirlwind. He hid behind the tree, and the whirlwind rushed by. Then he ran to the other side of the opening. The boy put the mannequin on his hand. It stood up, alive, and he asked, "What can I do with the snakes that are chasing me?" "You must make a fire across the trail." He gathered boughs and sticks, made a large, long pile, set fire to the west end of it, and said to the wind, "My grandfather, blow gently on the west end of this pile." His grandfather heard him, and soon there was a mighty fire. When it was burning fiercely, the boy said, "Grandfather, let the breeze die down." Straightway it stopped blowing. When the whirlwind of snakes came again, the snakes were swept into the fire, and every one of them perished. Free of snakes, the boy hurried along the northern trail till he saw a whirlwind going toward the northeast. Then he took out the mannequin and asked, "Which way must I go?" "North," answered the mannequin. As the boy traveled along, he saw a trail going toward the northwest, but he went straight ahead. When he came to the end of the trail, he found an opening in the ground near a birch tree. He went into the opening and soon came to a place where an old man sat smoking. "What can that old man be doing?" thought he. The old man straightened up and said, "I am weak this morning. It seems to me that somebody is around here." He raised his head and looked around, as he looked, his eyes seemed to project from his head. He saw Hagowane and said, "My nephew, I am glad that you have come. I will find out what luck you have." He took a rattle made of Hagowane and shook it, saying, "Sawa, Sawa." "Stop," said the boy. "I will try your luck first." "No, my nephew, I will try first," said the old man, whose name was Digwyganostus Flea. They disputed till they came to blows. The old man threw down his rattle and struck at the boy, and his own arm fell off. He struck with his other hand, and that arm fell off. Then he kicked at him with one leg, and that fell off. With the other, and that dropped off. The old man was now only head and body. The arms and legs tried to get back to their places on the body, but the boy pushed them away and shot an arrow through the old man. The arrow took root and became a small tree. The flea tried to bite the boy, but as he made the attempt, his head flew off. The boy pounded the body, jumped and danced around it, and said, "Oh, my uncle is in pieces now." In the old man's house, he found the last three of his brothers, weak and wretched as the others had been. He cured them and sent them home. The mother drove them from the house, and they sat down on the rock with their father and brothers. After his brothers had gone, Othogowida took out the mannequin and asked, "Is there anything on the northeast trail?" "You will rescue people if you go there," answered the mannequin. "Is there anything bad on the northwest trail?" "There is." At the end of the northwest trail, the boy found a house without a door. "How can I get into this house?" thought he. Looking through a crack, he saw an old woman of the blue snake people. She was singing, and the song said, "Othogowida is coming. Othogowida is coming." "She knows that I am here," thought the boy. Presently she said, "I will go out and play a little while." The boy didn't see how the woman got out of the house, but all at once he saw her going along the trail that ran toward the west. He followed her. She went into a small lake and down deep in the water. Then he saw a tail come to the surface and began to move around in a circle. On the tail were two little things like fins. They rubbed against each other and made beautiful music. In the water, the old woman was a fish. After a while, she came partly out of the water, but seeing the boy, she drew back and said, "My grandson, don't kill me. I have never harmed any of your people. I will spare you if you will give me something that will be useful to me. I will give you a fin. Keep it to find your luck with it." "How can I use it?" "When you lie down, put it under your head. You will have a dream, and the dream will tell you what you want to know." The boy went home with the old woman, and looking around, saw an opening in the ground, and in it many people almost dead. He got them out, rubbed them with saliva, healed them, and sent each man to his own home. When all had gone, he asked the old woman why she had captured these people and shut them up. "I did not shut them up," said the woman. "My husband is a man-eater. He brought them here. He lives on another trail. His name is Diwanostos, the Weeper, Flea." "Was that man your husband? I have killed him." "I am glad," said the woman. "Your people are safe now, for you have destroyed their greatest enemy." Othogowida traveled on the northeast trail till he came to a house where he heard singing. The song said, "The youngest son of Hongok, Goose Woman, is going everywhere in the world. We wish he would come to us. The song stopped, and the woman said, I feel badly. Let us go and throw rocks. They went to a place where there were white flint rocks as large as a house. The woman picked up one of the rocks and threw it into the air. It came down on her head, but it didn't hurt her. Then she threw it to the man, who caught it and threw it back. When tired of playing, they went to the house. The man said, I feel as though someone were here. Looking around, he saw the boy, and he asked, My grandson, what are you doing here? I have come to visit you. My grandson, said the woman, I am glad you have come. We have been waiting for you. You have killed the man-eater and the skeletons. Now we want you to free the men who are in an opening under our house. The boy found many men in the opening, which the man-eater had forced this man and woman to guard. He liberated them and sent each man to his own home. Now, said Othogawida, let all the trails disappear. Trails must not be made across the world to deceive people. The trails disappeared, then the boy went home. When he saw his father and 9 brothers sitting on a large flat rock, he asked, Why don't you go into the house? Your mother wouldn't let us stay in the house. She drove us out, answered Hagowane. The boy went into the house and asked, Mother, are you sorry that I found my father and my brothers? Did you find them and send them home? I did. The woman was glad then. She welcomed her husband and sons. They came in, and all were happy. The end.